Setting boundaries in your relationship is not really a bad idea. In fact, it really shows that you are serious about your relationship. Boundaries. Wow, that's a word we really did not like when we were teenagers growing up. Very negative word, kind of set limitations as to what we could do in our life. But in relationships, boundaries are good. Boundaries set a tone that, you know what, it's not about your space and my space. And it's not about privacy. It's about what I am allowed to do. Sometimes when we think in terms of boundaries, we think of the limitation, but it's really not always a limitation. Boundaries can be extensive. Boundaries can allow you to enjoy more. Boundaries can provide you with a life that you never even thought about because you were on the other side of the boundary. But in terms of relationships, when we talk about boundaries, we're talking about anything that helps the relationship to prosper. So where do you set boundaries in your own relationship? Well, there's several ways that you can do this. First, it starts with good communication. You can have a communication boundary. You can have a rule in your relationship, which many people do, that says, listen, if we get upset with each other, we're going to continue to talk and work it out, not to go to bed angry. That's a boundary. The boundary says that you can't go to bed angry. What's wrong with that? That's very positive, and many boundaries can do the same. One thing very interesting, though, but I felt this a challenge even in my own relationships, is that when it comes to eating, maybe one person wants to lose weight and the other person doesn't need to lose weight. And the interesting thing about that is that unless you are working together and know the boundaries, it can become quite challenging. Especially, nowadays people do different type of dieting and they may do fasting, which is not really a dieting, but they may change their lifestyle and do fasting. It's really difficult to fast and your partner's eating. Imagine being there because you and your partner are close, you're together. So you're sitting on the couch watching the news and they come down with a bowl of popcorn and some chocolate candy and some soda. You're like, oh, I can't enjoy that. Well, they have to know the boundaries. Listen, there's certain times where you are weak. In the body, there's a chemical that the brain sends to the stomach. It's called ghrelin, and ghrelin makes you feel hunger pains 4 times a day. Okay, enough of the fasting. But the point is, I think you understand it. Boundaries do good things. Boundaries keep us in our place, and we all have places. And the interesting thing about places and relationships is that they're interchangeable. You might be in this place tomorrow, and then the next day you'll be in a complete other place that's different than where you were before. And it might be a complete new experience. Nothing's wrong with having a place. Nothing's wrong with having a role. For example, boundaries in a relationship. You might make commitments and agreements to pay for certain things. These are my responsibility. These are your responsibilities. These are the shared responsibilities. These are all boundaries. Sometimes we don't think in terms that these are boundaries, but boundary is when you go from one point and there's a stop point. You just don't go faster. So you don't want to create an extreme situation within a relationship that could be difficult for you. Going over the budget, say you've broken the boundary. That's an easy one to understand. But what about if you have a private budget and your spouse or your partner doesn't know about this private budget? So you could have broken a boundary just by keeping a secret. Sometimes secrets cause more trouble in relationships. I didn't know you were going to do that. I didn't know you wanted this. I didn't know you had that. And it can create some awful challenges. But it's not always okay to think in terms of absolutes. Nothing wrong with secrets. It's just the type of secrets. And these are in things that you want to have good communication on because boundaries can get you into trouble. Boundaries can cause all kinds of problems because maybe the person lived a different life than they're living with you now. Well, boundaries in the terms of how many people can you relate to on a daily basis? Who do you spend your time with when you're not with your spouse? Those are boundaries, and those things need to be respected. Boundaries need to be heard. Boundaries need to be understood without knowing how your partner feels about the limitation, which is the boundary. There could be some serious problems. Again, boundaries are not always negative. For example, when you're in a car driving, you have a boundary. Stay inside the doors while you're driving. If you go out of this boundary, it could be dangerous. The same thing is true of a relationship. The people that you spend your time with, this could create more of a challenge than you think. So we wanted you to understand that when it comes to boundaries, it's all for your good. Having a conversation about boundaries is a very negative conversation. So you might change the word from being boundaries to, this is how I feel. This is what I like. This is something I like. This is, what I've been thinking about. This is what's on my mind. All these are boundary concerns. All these are concerns that put the limitation into the direction that the relationship will go in. So you can find a lot of joy when it comes to boundaries in your relationship. There are all sorts of reasons why you need boundaries. For example, there may be friends of yours that are part of relationships that you may not approve. Well, if you don't approve it, then it's their relationship. It's their relationship, like it's their wine glass, or it's their car, or it's their house. It's something that belongs to them, and you do not have the right to infringe your opinion on the life of other people, so to speak. So boundaries, again, come into play with a lot of things. Sometimes we talk too much. That's a boundary. Maybe this video was longer than you anticipated. Well, I broke your boundary, but I hope you're still sticking around to even hear me say it, because if you did, that's a good thing. And we want you to stay within our boundaries of being able to exist together, to work together, to grow together. These are all boundaries. Boundaries, 24 hours a day. That's a boundary. You can't squeeze extra time into a day. So you have to manage your time wisely with your partner to be able to get everything accomplished. But guess what? In the bound of your time, 24 hours is a long time. If you don't think 24 hours is a long enough time for a day, then take a needle. That's what I would tell my students. Take a needle, stick it in your hand, and see how long 24 hours is. It's a long time. Even 1 minute is a long time if you consider that. But please don't do violence or hurt yourself. Don't even hurt other people. But the whole point to the matter is that we want you to respect the opinions of other people. That's a boundary. This discussion is a lot larger than we thought. Opinions of other people is how they feel to an extent. They have a boundary, but you don't want to push those opinions over the limit where you start making other people uncomfortable. The goal is not to make anybody uncomfortable. The goal is to have an opinion that you can comfortably share with other people. And guess what? That's a boundary. Sharing within a certain parameter, maybe about a particular event or a particular subject that is of interest to you. Boundaries are a good thing. People get married. That's a boundary. Stay married to one person. Don't break the rule. Go out with other people. It's not open. If it's open, it's not marriage. Marriage is closed. That's how it works. I didn't come up with the definition of marriage. This definition was around a long time even before I was around. The same thing is true when it comes to relationships. So look at your relationship. Look at the boundaries. Be applauding to them. Be happy about them. Boundaries are good, and boundaries can save your life, and boundaries are your friend. So we hope you enjoyed this video on boundaries within your relationship and how boundaries can make everything successful and fantastic. So listen, thanks for your time. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next video.